Ladies and gentlemen, for the homies that don't spend time on Twitter, I wanted to cover the NALCS news, what's going on over in the LCS. LEC Wulu did kind of a good recap. I'm going to give my thoughts on it and what I believe and what I think is going to happen later. If you want to catch more of my content, make sure to catch my LPL co-streams because they're on. They're on and they're going and they're flying. Currently, the LCS is under a lot of heat and a lot of drama because the LCS teams wanted and voted to eliminate the requirement of fielding an NACL team. So basically, a big promise of the North American franchising. A lot of people were against the franchising because it puts a lot of power in the hands of the organizations and it takes away from, of course, the players. In a world pre-franchising, players could get together, make their own organizations and, get into it, right? Qualify. We had those stories of, for example, Origin with the XPEC organization. And then we had, of course, the whole story of, we had Cloud9 was also an organization, a group of guys that made a team together that turned into Cloud9 later. All of these things, all of those stories occurred and there was a lot more power in the hands of the players. The main promise and the main takeaway was that the LCS teams, of course, when they did this franchising agreement, they took the responsibility and the promise that they would use the franchising system in order to nurture and promote North American talent. And this is a promise that occurred to sell and make the landing of the franchising a lot more simpler and easier. And that's why a lot of people are up in arms. So the first thing, LCS teams have requested the Riot to eliminate the requirement of fielding NACL teams. Riot has agreed to this request, citing the aim of achieving greater operational and financial flexibility. So I think a big part here, is that as franchising did indeed create a massive influx of money in the scene. There was a lot of VC money coming in, spending big because they had hopes of broadcasting rights and the franchising slots increasing their value tremendously, similar to how the slots and the broadcasting rights are sold within the NBA and also some of the other franchise leagues in North America. This, of course, didn't really work out because esports fans don't really generate revenue. They don't buy things, they don't spend money on things, and there is no way of localizing it because everything happens online. Nevertheless, Riot agreed to this request, citing the aim of achieving greater operational financial flexibility. The reason I brought it up was because teams did indeed get massive influxes of cash, but a lot of teams did overspend. You hear the rumors of the big contracts for very specific players, which I don't blame the players for taking, for get your bag. But in terms of how the spending has occurred, it kind of was happening in a way where they expect that cash influx to be real for a very, very long time. It's like facilities were built, big contracts were spent, and now, teams are bleeding for it. The LCS Player Association has highlighted that approximately 70 jobs may be lost as a result of this decision. So keep in mind that all of the teams agreed, right? All of the teams in the LCS voted to not make it mandatory. So 70 jobs may be lost as a result of this decision. They have criticized Riot for making contradictory statements and rushing the decision without proper planning and prior notice. They have also proposed an alternative plan. Out of the LCS, 10 LCS teams, only FlyQuest, Evil Geniuses, and Team Liquid have chosen to maintain the roster in NACL, as the remaining 7 teams have decided to withdraw. So only 3 teams are left in the NACL, right? The whole point of this and why people are criticizing this heavily, right, is because removing the obligation from the bigger teams that are within the region, this lowers the legitimacy of it all, right? It lowers the legitimacy and it lowers the competition, and in itself that can be problematic. You're kind of hoping that other teams are going to want to pick up the scraps, as a point of comparison, right? In Europe, the LEC teams don't have to have a challenger team. A lot of the teams even cooperate. For example, Fnatic cooperate with Team Queso, right, to have the spot in the LVP. and Koi has a team, Team Heretics has a team, because those teams are fully functional in the context of the leagues that are created, right? Like eBay created a lot of interest in the Spanish league, and there's a lot of other Spanish personalities that maybe I know less about in the community. The LFL is a standalone league, Carmine Corp. It is thundering and it's working super, super well. But of course, this is kind of the backwards way to do it, because that level of investment isn't there, right? And when it comes to the potential personalities, you know, there's conversations about this guy's Toast jumping in to make a team. You know, in a world where Tyler One made a team, this guy's Toast made a team, and it became, you know, very fruitful and you know, the league to watch, then things would reshape themselves super, super fast. And maybe there's an opportunity for that, but the incentives aren't there in place right now because there's no qualification. In response to the changes made to the NACL, the LCSPA has called for a vote among LCS players to stage a walkout as a form of protest. Last night, an overwhelming majority of LCS players voted in favor of the walkout. They will therefore not be playing in the LCS and can't be forced to do so. A very important detail here as well is that NALCSPA, basically the player association, this is supposed to be a group that involves the pro players in the decision-making process of everything that happens in the franchising. The LCSPA was completely isolated. They were not involved in this decision at all. Players were not involved in the decision-making of the NACL at all, and they were kind of, you know, stabbed in the back, kind of. In essence, Riot, you know, were involved in this creation of this player association, but they've kind of basically said that the player association is completely useless and is all a facade. Right? That's why this moment in time is so important, because the LCS players that have agreed to walk out now in the form of this majority ruling, this is so important, because if there's a situation where this walkout doesn't occur, it just means that the player association is complete bullshit. And it's just a waste of time, waste of energy. It's just a dog with a bark with no bite, right? And this is the first time, I believe, something like this has ever happened in esports, where players band together to fight for their rights. And I think it's important, right? Because all of the power lays in the hands of the organization. But we will see what the outcome is. They will therefore not be playing in the LCS and can't be forced to do so. It has been reported, I need to add here, right, that this is, the players that agreed to do this, they are going to have financial damage, right? They will take financial damage, and it's important to note that the players that have agreed to do this, they will not get paid. Sometimes maybe there are stipulations in their contracts that will even go so far to get them fined. I am not 100% sure. Of course, because it's a contract per contract basis, you know, it depends on what's going on. But these players are going to take a financial hit. Luckily, of course, they are going to be in California. They can enjoy the sun and maybe rest up, because the LCS does start very close to the finish of MSI. It has been reported that the LCS team will be obliged to field an LCS roster due to an agreement with Riot that mandates them to have a competitive roster. This is also very important because teams are will be fined, right? They get fined for not fielding rosters. Like that's a context stipulation. I know that is in place for all of the teams. As someone mentioned in the chat that Cali labor law states you cannot punish employees if they don't want to work. That is kind of crazy. Crazy that is in place, but I guess it's good that it's in place now if the strike, of course, is done and handled properly. Consequently, they will need to sign new players to fulfill this requirement. However, the LCSPA will attempt to mitigate those signings. So it's like here, I don't know who in the right mind would actually sign up to do this. I know there's been conversations in the community about some people supporting the players that will potentially sign for this, but you're basically like, the players that are in the LCS are doing this for the people that might want to sign for this. And you playing for 1 or 2 weeks is not going to make or break your career. It's not a big opportunity at all. You're going to be there as a filler, and you will be remembered as the guy who undermined the process of the LCS players actually trying to achieve something meaningful for you. Additionally, I think, I don't know what the circumstances is, but I think this would work so much better if rioters and the casters would actually also get involved in this. Because currently we only hear the LCSPA talk, and now they tell us that a majority vote has happened, but there's no face to this. There's no face to this at all, and I don't know if it's going to be impactful enough. And there is a certain level of danger, right? There's a certain level of risk, because I know that, if you rub Riot the wrong way, they will look the other way when they're making choices of who casts their games, right? So there's definitely that layer of risk that can occur. But it's one of those things that if you band together, you do it together, then they can't really single you out. But you don't want to be the only one doing so and being the face of this movement. That's the tricky part of this. So I understand why, you have the circumstance where casters aren't going to put themselves on the line here. And I'm not asking them to do so. I'm just saying it would definitely be better, right? It definitely would be better for the overall impact, because it will feel weird if we see the regular homies casting games with players that no one gives a shit about, right? That is going to create a very, very awkward circumstance. The main question is, who is willing to outweight who if, for some reasons, the scabs are going to be put in place, right? To give more context, 50% of the current LCS players have been through the NACL. The economical situation of LCS teams is very difficult, as it has been reported that many are trying to sell their spots. I also know from sources that salaries have been drastically reduced in the LCS this year. Sources also say that the cost to run an NACL team is around 1 million per year. However, the LCSPA alternative plan also addresses those issues. Additionally, each LCS team has been given 3 million by Riot in order to help them out for the LCS and NCL this year. For now, it looks like we might see the LCS start with teams fielding rosters of newly acquired players. Riot already announced their full lineup for the NCL summer split, including the newcomers of DSG. In Europe, this obligation of having academies has already been removed in 2021. Is North America prepared for a comparable change, considering that their path to pro has not been as successful as that of ERLs? Credit to LCS EV and Leader Grab for the reports. My DMs are always open for any sources willing to discuss this. Update since last night. This was 2 hours ago. The fight continues. The LCSPA is actively asking players outside of the LCS to not join in the LCS as replacements. According to Travis Gafford, Riot is lifting the rank requirement needed in order to play in the LCS. Oh my god. That is crazy. We are heading into what might just be the biggest shit show of all time. We might just be heading into the biggest shit show of all time. This is going to be nuts. We are living and witnessing history. Because, first and foremost, right, some questions to ask, right? Whom are the players that didn't vote? Like, which players didn't vote are they going to be playing? Like, are we going to have, like, FlyQuest Prince dashing and smurfing on people's faces? Is that going to happen? Like, is Prince going to stomp on some bronzies? Like, is Prince... Maybe Prince doesn't give a shit, right? It's like, if you're a player that has just came into the league, you're an import, you don't care too much about the NACL, I can see that, right? Because there could be the situation where some players don't care and they're going to play. I really don't know how this is going to go down. But I wanted to pull up as well the LCS player, basically their demands, right? Their demands are asked for Riot, just to keep everybody in the loop, is institute Valorant style promotion and relegation between the LCS and NACL. I think this is not going to happen. This devaluates all of the spots and also turns all of the teams into liars, because they have received financial gain and financial earnings based off of the promise that it's a franchise spot. This can't happen. The league will die before it happens, right? Riot commit to a revenue pool for player salaries of 300k per NACL team per year. So this is, Riot commit, right? This is 3 million per year that Riot commits, right? This is Riot solving the financial issue. A very big issue here is that Riot never makes it public how much money they generate from esports, right? All of the finances, all of the power is in the hand of Riot, right? Here, Riot it's like, in terms of how esports is and how esports is broadcasted, it is always going to be very top heavy. Well, if you look at Twitch, the way Twitch functions, always there's going to be a FOMO effect. You always want to watch the stream with the most viewers. Not always, but the majority of it. If someone opens up Twitch, they're going to gravitate towards the streams that have the biggest viewership. So everything is so top heavy, right? And the issue is, if you look at the investment of what you can gain out of the NACL, it's very difficult, right? It's like they need to create incentives for example, all of the big streamers in North America to get involved in the NACL circuit. That is the best way for how they can get their best bang for their buck. Like if I look at this, I think making NACL non-mandatory for the LCS teams, I think that's fair. I think the way they did it, in terms of how they kneecapped everything and did it so sudden, that is like the problem, right? That is the problem. If they had some kind of a basis where things would, the transfer would be more elegant, right? And there would be like more partnerships, maybe with colleges, maybe with big streamers that want to build teams. If this was handled a little bit more smoothly, I think it could have been better. Because in my mind, I still think that the NACL, there's an opportunity there to create something good. And additionally, the LCS teams haven't created something good out of it. Let's be honest, right? So it's like, even though I know the fight is to make the teams stay involved, how positive has it actually been that the teams have been involved? Because I think that's a very important conversation to have. I would be far more excited if they can throw enough money on Tyler 1 to build a team, and to throw in this guy's toast to build a team, and then maybe Moist makes a team, and then you get involved these personalities to make your league exciting and interesting again. Because in the end, that is what has made the ERL so damn successful. Yamato with Carmine Corp, eBay with, of course, with Koi. And I think this is where the opportunity lies, right? Because if you look at Europe, there are leagues that are dying in Europe too, right? The interest for the UK league / Nordic league is almost non-existent, right? And there's an opportunity there. Like you have Ultraliga, you have the UK league. These leagues are fucking struggling, right? They are struggling. You're gonna put a gun to the LCS teams' heads and say you need to revive it? Oh, it's tough, right? So in my mind, right, I think even though I understand why you would want the NA LCS teams to run things, right, and to be involved, I'm just saying it hasn't been beneficial. So obviously the LCS teams are doing something wrong, right? And I think there's an opportunity to do something greater and bigger. I just think that the transfer period and how things occurred was just a little bit shady, right? Like if this was an open conversation, the entire time, with the involvement of players, player association. We say over the next years, this is something that we want to do. I think, you know, I would see that. But now it's kind of weird because the LCS teams don't see the value of it, and they rug pulled everything from below. Because I understand both sides of it. And I think the way it was managed is the biggest issue. Allow LCS orgs to partner with affiliates for cost sharing. I think this is super important. I'm even surprised that this is not allowed in the first place. Right? Right? Riot guarantees LCS minimum contracts for the following year for the 5 players who win the LCS Summer Finals each year. I think this I don't understand. Why the fuck would this matter? Right? Why would this matter? Why would this matter? Why would this matter? Which player wins the LCS and then doesn't get a team? I don't know. What kind of stability is that? Bro, if I'm winning the league and I don't find a team, bro, just probably everyone hates me or something. I don't know why this is in. Institute a 3/5 roster continuity rule to provide players on released NACL rosters first priority in maintaining their slots in the upcoming NACL season if a majority continue to compete together. I think this one is strange, right? Because if you're in a world where you are working with, let's say, Team Liquid or FlyQuest, and then you are released and you want to still play together, what the fuck happens then? Because it's kind of contradictory to what you want to have in the first place. So basically, this initial idea, right, is, keep in mind, the ask of Riot is not to make, like, LCS, the player association, is not asking Riot to force the teams to do this. They are asking for the money for any team to be able to do this. So basically, if you qualify to the NACL, you get this stipend for 300k. And that can be Team Liquid or that can be any other team. That can be Moist, that can be this Toasty Esports, or it could be Yamato's Nutsack. Right? But all in all, I think in the end, the key thing for me, the biggest issue is just how everything played out. Because I can understand the reasoning from both sides. I can understand the reasoning from both sides, 100%. In light of recent LCS news, we will be delaying our start of the season content plans. Thank you for your patience and understanding. Let me see Papa Smithy's video.
Hey everyone! For the last several months, our entire team has been hard at work to put together a compelling new phase for FlyQuest. And honestly, I think you'll find our goal is pretty clear. We want to give the gaming community something refreshing to follow, an experience that legacy fans and new fans alike can look forward to and feel excited about. Now, I won't be giving away too much just yet, but what I will say is that this entire upcoming week, starting Monday, we'll be sharing a slew of content, updates, and oh so much more. All of which will be pointing towards this being FlyQuest's most exciting chapter yet. Now, I really believe that you're gonna love what we're doing here at FlyQuest, so make sure to stay tuned for everything that's gonna come next.
Okay. Well, my final words on this. I think it's like the NACL system, right? It's like they want to keep the LCS teams involved, but there were a lot of teams that were LCS teams that were involved and they did nothing with it. So I'm very happy in the long term for those jobs, for those slots to transfer to organizations and teams to actually do something meaningful with it. There was a lot of LCS teams that were forced to do this that did absolutely nothing with it. Nothing. Why should they still be there, right? I think the bigger issue is just how this process was done and how the transfer process was done. Because it happened like a fucking rug pull because the conversation wasn't in the open. What did he mean with Riot guarantees LCS minimum contracts? Well, basically, if you win the LCS, you get paid for the following year for minimum salary if you don't find a job, which is fucking weird. I don't know why this is there. Bro, you're protecting teams that won the split. Like, you win the split and you don't find a job, like, I don't know, man. Like, if you win the split, don't find a job. Has it ever happened in the history that you win the LCS Summer Finals and you don't have a job? Jensen got paid by Liquid. Bifrost, okay. I don't know, man. It's a weird one. Bro, it would turn into such a meme, you know? It's like, you win the split, it means that you earned a 1-year vacation. See, paid vacation. you get a 1-year paid vacation. See. Nice. My point is, it's like DRLs are thriving because they are not relying on the LEC teams. They are their own thing. And the biggest boost for the teams over there, right, is of course, it's like the Spanish casters and the Spanish casting team has built up a massive community, right? The French casting team, OTP, they've built up a massive community. They have teams like Koi, they have teams like K-Corp. They are really, really boosting the numbers, right? It's like you have Hand of Blood, you have Spandau in Germany. But then if you look at the leagues that don't have this kind of boost, the NLC or the Ultraliga, these leagues are struggling, right? If Xayo tomorrow made a team and wanted to compete in the Ultraliga and he co-streamed those games, bro, it would pop off. It would pop off, man. It would actually be monstrous, right? And it's like, in the end, the partners you want and the teams that you want in the NECL, if you want it to actually be like really, really exciting, it would be, you know, it's like the content creators. There was streamers team in Ultraliga 2 and they could play in Ultraliga, but Riot didn't allow them to stream it, so it died. Now that's so fucking troll. That's like so stupid. That's so stupid. Final point, guys. It's like, I understand why the LCS teams moved in this direction, but it's just how everything was handled is what makes it really poor. Like if they said in 1.5 years ago, they said, we need to think about the NECL structure and it's not currently working for us, so we need to think about it. The next 2 years, we're going to try to figure out the plan that makes sense, and we're going to work together with the players and other partners within the whole world, right? Like in America to make it work. That would be fine, right? But now it's like, oh, we voted on it and now there's no obligation anymore. And I think that's what is poor. In terms of how everything is going to play out, I honestly have no idea. Like a part of me is very excited for the shit show that is about to unfold. I am really, really like excited to just see this shit show unfold. Dom thinks players may have possibly voted yes because players are just lazy and want time off. That could be the case. That could be the case, but I'm not gonna make any assumptions. I'm not gonna make any assumptions. Thank you, Perksovich, for the Prime Gaming. And I can tell you this. This matters for the grand scheme of things so much. Because I thought that the LCS Player Association was a big joke until now. And it could still be a big joke if this leads to nothing. Then at that point, just disband the LCS Player Association and stop wasting time in these damn meetings. Because if you're just barking on Twitter and you didn't accomplish shit, then, you know, it is what it is, you know? And I don't know. The weirdest part of this is that I think these asks are so strange. It's like, this is not gonna happen. I don't know. This is just so strange. Like, this is not gonna happen. So what's gonna be the conversation at the table? What is the conversation that's gonna happen at the table? Allow LCS orgs to partner with affiliates for cost sharing. I think that's good. That should be in place. I would love to see that. Why is that not in place? That's happening in the LEC. Just do it. This is never gonna happen. Never ever gonna happen. Never. The top one. Never. The fifth one, okay. The second one, 300k is a lot. 300k is a lot, by the way. It's a lot of money. A lot of money. But the fact that number 3 isn't in place in the first place is really strange. Like, that should be like, yeah, it's actually, it's good. No, 3 mil was just a stipend on the one time. I don't understand how number 3 is not in, honestly. But yeah, I think that's my take, right? That's my take. I don't think there is much more to be said. I'm genuinely curious how everything's going to go down, but I just wanted to inform everyone on my YouTube channel and to give my take on it. I'm so excited to see this unfold. So we shall see. I'm just curious what kind of conversation. It's like, who's going to outweigh who? Who's going to invite who to the table? Like, are there conversations going to go down tomorrow? Like, things can change so rapidly. What's up, by the way, Crowny? Are there actually going to be diamond players playing in the LCS? Brother, there is no ranked requirement. Riot is lifting the rank requirement needed in order to play in the LCS. How crazy is that? It makes the whole season useless. Yeah, it devalues the whole season. The whole season is going to be completely devalued. Everything is like 1 week already is terrible. It is nuts. There is like, if any player that legitimately wants to compete goes into this, brother, the teams that are gonna be fielded are gonna be the staff. It's gonna be the homies in the back. It's gonna be the chef. It's gonna be the chef's uncle. Those homies gonna hop in, man. Because whoever is worth their salt and actually wants to compete, you ruin your career by doing this. For 1 week? For 2 games? You think you're gonna be scrimming? At this point, you know what the team should do? The team should do, we have an auction. Who wants to play the LCS? We have an auction, guys. We have an auction. Highest bidder gets to play in the LCS. And then you have like some massive sweaty Oilers spending like 100k to get like this experience to play in front of a crowd. Like, if that shit happens, I don't know, man. Pussy Slayer 69 on TSM. Oh, man. Ay. That's a damn disaster. It's a disaster. It's a disaster, guys. I really don't know what's gonna go down. It's like I can't imagine the games. If Mike Oxlong is playing, bro, treats. Oh, poor treats. Treats. Holy shit. Treats joined the league, goes to America, had to sweat his balls off to get fucking visa. He comes there, gets food poisoning on the first day, and now it's like, ah, man. We're not even playing. Shit. Oh, man. What a mess. Well, it's like, it completely devaluates the season. The season is completely done. The season's completely done if bronzies play week 1, week 2. Like, what's the point of the season? Like, are the players even scrimming? Probably they are still scrimming, even though they are not playing, right? They should be practicing. Like, you need to be ready for when the strike goes off, you know? Yeah, it is good news for Europe. You have 4th place NA play against 4th place Europe for for the last world spot out of the West. That's great. That's just great. Oh, really? I think at this point, just hold an auction. Highest bidder gets to experience how it is to be an LCS player, really. Do an auction. Put it up on eBay. Do an auction. And we see what's up. Highest bidder gets to play. I would agree with you, Wunder, but usually like week 1, 2 result, usually if you're the best, you could be winning the whole shit now in playoffs. I think it will be fine. I'm like, some final words on this. It's like, what I'm curious about, right, is which players are actually going to play. Are there any academy players that have the guts to actually sign to think that this somehow is going to make their career? Spoiler alert, it's not going to. It's not going to. If you get offered to play week 1 and week 2 against some other shitters, your career is done. I feel, I feel pretty bad. I feel pretty bad for the imports. I feel very bad for the imports. Prince, I feel bad for Prince. I feel bad for Berserker. These homies, they're like, what the fuck is this, man? They're like, what the fuck is this? Pioshik, honestly, Pioshik, he emotes on stage. Like, he brought this on himself. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, that's my take, guys. It's like, I think the whole process was just too rug pullish, and they needed to, like, if they said 1.5 years ago, in 2 years, we will remove the obligation, right? And it was planned, and it was, considered in a much better way. Then it would be better, right? They could have made preparations. And the fact that number three is not in place already is kind of crazy. Like, I would love to see teams. Yeah, European teams don't have academy teams. There's no, you're not forced to have an academy team. Would be very nice if teams could partner together with colleges, if they could partner together with other streamers, other brands. That would be super nice, right? Offset some of the costs and make fruitful partnerships. That would be super cool. I think that would be nice. Worlds is in Korea this year. Worlds was in NA last year. Yeah, LEC teams scrapped their academy teams, yeah? It's like, in an ideal world, right? In an ideal world, you have partners in the NACL that have incentives to make NACL good. I'm telling you, keeping LCS teams in the NACL shouldn't be the end goal. It is not even the end goal of the LCS Players Association. It is not the end goal. Because just because these LCS teams are in the LCS doesn't make them automatically good partners to have in the NACL. That's why I don't mind that it isn't mandatory for them to have it. Because most of the LCS teams didn't get value from it. They just burnt money. So I understand their viewpoint. But I think it's important to make the transfer process of the NACL much better. Now we have this guy's toes jumping in. It's like Riot should have pushed to try to get the biggest content creators in America, incentivize them to get involved. That is the best money spent. Best money spent. If they can get this guy's toast, they can get OTK, they can get Tyler One, they can get whoever the fuck, spend fucking whatever money is required to get them involved, and that would make it pop off, man. Make it absolutely pop off. Give them LCS co-streaming rights, get them involved in any way possible, spend the money for that. That would be the best money spent, I assure you. Because the LCS teams, bro, a lot of the LCS teams aren't even good at marketing their LCS team. They need to make a team in LA? No, they don't. You can make it all online. Why does it need to be even a gaming house? Make it all online. They're not even good at League? Since when do you need to be good at League? You think Ibai is some fucking Riven OTP with 1000 LP or what? You think Kamito is good? I've seen Kamito play Cho'Gath. Like, it doesn't matter how good you are. Since when does it matter how good you are at the game? It's like, yeah, Mr. Warren Buffett, he made money on Apple stock. Well, he doesn't know how to build a phone. It's like, no, man, it's business. It's business. I think NACL, I hope that it's online. Should be online. this should happen, and everything else is what it is. Bro, I would be happy if I'm right to spend this type of money even more. Does what you say also apply to the LEC? It already happened in the LEC. The LEC teams don't need to have challenger teams. And then the leagues themselves you have Spandau. You have Spandau, right? The Spandau team. You have the Koi team. You have Team Heretics. You have Karma and Corp. You know, these are very, very successful leagues standalone. You have teams in these leagues that actively have great viewership. And then it's the flip side sometimes, right? LDLC is like ceasing operations. I don't know what's going on there, right? It's like, it's tough times, right? It's like, what should I say? I'm not going to say that I know the inside and out about every financial situation, but I feel like the Koi Rogue doesn't have such big hype from viewers as K-Corp. Honestly, Koi has secured a lot of fucking viewership, mate. Like, the fact that after the Koi Rogue partnership was initiated, Koi is one of the most watched teams in the LEC. Some of the Koi matchups are some of the most watched matchups. And this is in a world where they are not doing that hot either. Those eBay streams are popping off. But yeah. I see. Thank you, Sydney. And thank you whoever else said it before too. And if you want to create EU master structures, like let the NECL be a... Like, if the NECL can compete with Brazil and with the LLA, like, that would be super exciting. That would be super exciting, man. Make your own little America Masters. Make your own little America Masters. That would be fantastic. That would be really insane to watch. Let them get stomped as well, yeah. Let them. That would be super exciting. Every state should have own league. Bro, we don't even have enough players to fill the rosters if every state's gonna have their own league. But okay, guys, I really need to hit the gym. It's like the fucking pre-workout is popping off and I'm sweating bullets already before I'm even at the gym.